Let's get this shared. There it goes. All right. So we're on week 8. That means everything is closed. Like the class closes on Tuesday. We're almost done. So this week, that means you have your final exam. So that's going to be the most important thing probably to do this week, aside from the assignment and the discussion. So we have only one section that you have to read this week, and that is section 9.6, which is an introduction to functions. Functions is something that's really important when you get to college algebra. About half of college algebra is studying functions. So this is going to give you a little introduction to it, and then you'll get into much more depth once you move on to college algebra. So what we're going to be looking at this week is the definition of a function, writing things in function notation, and then finding domain and range. So those are the 3 big ideas this week. And I have a video in the classroom already on functions going through all of this material. So that way you can get a start on everything you need to know, and you don't have to wait for a live session. What I'm going to be doing instead of a separate live session is just on Tuesday night, the night that the course closes, I'm going to just be on my computer on video for an hour so that you guys can come and ask questions, especially since it's going to be like the very end of the term. I figured there might be some last minute questions. So I will send out a reminder about that, or a message about that. That's going to be at 7. So that will go out later, but that's what I'm going to do instead of doing a live session. So your task this week, you have your discussion, you have your ungraded practice assignment, the assignment, and then your final exam. So let's take a look at the discussion. And this discussion should be pretty simple. This is just a reflection. So you're just going to reflect on the whole course as a whole. So did the course meet your expectations? How do you feel about your progress in the course? What skills do you think this course has helped you develop? Do you think these skills are beneficial in your other courses, your daily life, or your career? And these skills don't have to be math skills. Maybe you improved your note-taking or your time management. Do you feel you are ready to progress to college algebra? What topic did you find interesting and why? What advice would you give a student starting the class next term? I like to collect that and see what people are saying and then share that going forward. And this is not actually listed in the discussion prompt, but I'd also like to know what classes you're taking next. That way, if you find out there's someone else in your class taking the same class, maybe you guys will be in the same section and you can kind of form a study group. In addition to our graded discussion, there is an ungraded discussion specifically for the end of course survey. You are not required to do replies in the end of course survey discussion because that's ungraded. So you want to make sure that you have your discussion post and your 2 replies in the week 8 discussion. The survey discussion is optional. Next, taking a look at your assignments. So your ungraded practice assignment is coming only from 9.6 since that's the only section we've covered. It's problem 1. Then 5 through 39 odds, and then 49 to 53 odds. And if you have questions, you are welcome to email me or contact me or use tutor.com. Your graded assignment is 2 graded problems showing all of your work. Resubmissions are allowed, but in order to resubmit the week 8 assignment, you would have to turn it in early and get it graded early before the course closes, because once the course closes, I cannot take any resubmissions. So the week 8 assignment, the only way you can get a resubmission is if it gets graded early enough that you have time to resubmit. So don't assume that and I don't know, it depends on the grader, so I don't know when they're going to be grading, if they're going to get it done early. So just as an FYI there. So now let's focus on the final exam, because that is a large chunk of your grade. That's 20%, I believe. So the final exam is 21 questions. It is untimed, so take your time. Don't rush through it. Because it's untimed, I recommend you do a little bit at a time. Don't try to do it all at once. Do a little bit every single day. There are 8 short answer questions and then 13 multiple choice questions. The topics covered are mostly everything in the second half of the class, but there is some stuff in the first half of the class. So you've got domain and range, definition of a function, evaluating functions. That all comes from week 8. You've got ordered pairs, solving for y, finding slope, meaning of slope, parallel perpendicular lines, and finding intercepts. So that's all week 7 stuff. Order of operations is week 1. And that's important enough that that's why it's covered on the final exam, because that's just so important. We have translating English to math. That was talked about in week 2. Simplifying exponential expressions, that was, I got to think backwards here. So that was graphing, solving, factoring. So that would be week 4. And factory was week 5. Quadratic formula is week 6. Simplifying expressions was week 2. Multiplying polynomials was week 4. And solving by factoring was week 6. So I probably should have rearranged those so those are grouped together. But most of it is the second half, basically weeks 4, 5, 6, and 7, with a few things from weeks 1 and 2 that are really important. So what your suggested schedule basically for this week, because we have only one section. So I would just get that section out of the way, read it Thursday. I have some practice, do the practice problems, and these are different practice problems than are suggested, so these are fewer problems. Do your assignment that goes with week 8, and then take the rest of the time to study for the final. And so I've actually picked out different problems to help you study for the final exam. And I would also spend that extra time to get in any missing work or to turn in any resubmissions that you might have. Because all of that needs to be turned in by Tuesday at midnight, and nothing will be accepted past that point. So use this extra time this week to get in anything outstanding that you still need to turn in. So let's talk about the end of the course, because this is going to be really important. So our course ends Tuesday, December 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Central. As soon as midnight hits, your access to the course is lost. So you want to make sure you have everything turned in before then, including your final exam. If you are in the middle of the final after then, you will not be able to submit it. So you need to make sure everything is turned in before midnight hits. No work is accepted after the course closes. So this includes things that are emailed. I'm not allowed to accept any emailed work. Everything needs to be submitted via Blackboard. So once the course closes, that's it. No more late work is accepted, no resubmissions, nothing. Final grades are submitted by Friday of next week. I will not be emailing out grades. So if you want to see your grade, you will have access to the course. View-only access, let me see, when does that start? That starts on the 4th and ends the 8th. And the 8th is a Sunday. So since grades are due on Friday, if you check the course Saturday or Sunday, you'll be able to see your final grade and see what you earned in the class. I will not email anything out. So, and then if you need to see your final grade in, like, after those dates, then you'll need to ask your instructor on how to view those. I'm not sure how it looks like on your end of G-Life on how to access your final grades other than looking in Blackboard. Incompletes begin December 9th, and they are 2 weeks long. In order to qualify for an incomplete, you need to have completed at least 50% of the work and have extenuating circumstances. Incompletes are not automatically granted. You need to request an incomplete by emailing me your request including proper documentation and a list of missing work with a schedule for completing each task. Basically, give me a list of every assignment you have missing and what date you are going to get those turned in. And then your next term starts December 11th, so you actually have a week between the end of this term and your next term. So I recommend using that time to make sure you have access to your books for your new class before you get started. That way, if there's any issues, you can get that resolved and start your next class on a very strong foot. So that's the important thing that you need to know about the end of the course. Do you guys have any questions? Anything on what you have to do this week or anything that I might have missed that might be helpful about how the end of the course is going to work? All right. I guess I don't see anything. So if you guys do have questions, of course, you can email me. And just as an FYI, Grantham is closed tomorrow and Friday to observe Thanksgiving. So if you email me tomorrow or Thursday, I am not likely to reply until Sunday. So just as an FYI. And your items are probably, your week 7 stuff will not be graded until basically Monday because we've got those 2 days off, and so we're shifting basically. It'll be graded over the weekend. So that's all I've got for you guys. I hope you guys have had fun in this class, or as much fun as you might expect in a math class. I know people don't think math is fun, and I hope that you guys have at least enjoyed attending these live sessions, or at least having them available to you and you found them helpful. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get this all added to YouTube and all that good stuff. And I hope you guys have a great holiday tomorrow. All right? Stay safe.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes. All right. Bye.